Hi there. Yeah, Bruce here. Hi. I. Okay. This is my classroom in the forest. This is my channel. Please subscribe. All that stuff. Someone mentioned earlier about rehearsing or practicing or having some sort of some more professionalism, I guess. Now, here's an example. I accidentally rehearsed this video because I made it earlier, and lo and behold, the whole thing's out of focus. I have no idea why. And if you've been following along, I said before, I said I'm actually not very good at making videos, but I try my best. All right, and that's what you're getting here today is me trying my best. Yeah. Yes. Like I said, I made this video earlier. The whole thing was out of focus. I had no idea why. I did the old start and stop, take the lens off, lens back on, do a bunch of mucking around. Hopefully it's rectified. I don't know, maybe the thing was just simply frozen because it's actually freezing. It's quite cold, which I'm totally cool with. It's nice. I'm happy. All right, now. I'm going to mention a great guy, Louis Capaldi. I'm astonished. The guy's music's fantastic. Recommend it. More fantastic music is Les Cowboys Fringants, the Quebecois band. Goodness gracious, they're better than fantastic. Yeah, they're actually truly fabulous. Okay, now if you're a regular viewer here, and I don't know if I might have one. I'm not sure. If you're a regular viewer here, you know that I like to make videos about economics, about I mentioned people, like to talk about objects or things, although not so much lately because I actually don't have a lot of things to talk about in terms of objects. And I really, what I do not want to do is I do not want to make videos that are kind of about videos about videos and videos about cameras and videos about making videos and videos about camera lenses and stuff. It's just a firm no on that one. But my life journey has brought me to a position where I have some, I don't want to sound like Liam Neeson, but I have a unique set of skills that have been honed and practiced over many decades. And I'm trying to synthesize some of this to share with you and with the world, to hopefully answer some questions that people might have, and on public policy, economics, and let's make our world better. Okay, so moving on with that, I just grab I'll grab some chalk. I have my chalk. I have my glove. I've been criticized about my gloves. They said they're a little stark, but they're my gloves. And it's cold. But utility is the usefulness, the good, the pleasure that we derive from something, from whatever it is. Okay, so we derive usefulness from our mode of transportation because our car or our bicycle or our feet will take us from here to there so we can do or see whatever it is that we want to do or see in this other location. We can live here, we can work there. Transport, that's what it is. I'm kind of stuck on the Cowboys Fringant, and the line is tant que mes pieds marcheront. As long as my feet will walk. As long as my feet will walk, I'll go there, except sometimes the distances that we have to span exceed what any sensible person would wish to walk, although there's tremendously resilient people in the world that walk a long way. Okay. Now, public transit. Let's take a step aside for a second. I'm going to talk about construction and money and resources. I do occasionally give some lectures at universities on sometimes various topics, and one of the topics is is construction, and some of the practical aspects and some of the more technical aspects of managing projects and getting things built. Okay, so, and then with my associates, my friends, my business colleagues, I have an expression that I'm kind of, I guess, became a little tiny bit known for. It's cubic. What kind of money is that, Bruce? Oh, that's cubic money. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, that's not good. What does that mean? What that means, I have to put my glove on because it's actually very cold. What that means is, let's talk about a hole. I say that there's nothing more expensive, more resource intensive in building than a hole. Why? Because if your hole that you're going to build is 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter, then that is a 1 cubic meter hole. Okay. Now, if in the course of your project you discover that you need to have that hole an extra meter, so 2 meters, doesn't sound like much, but 2 meters by 2 meters by 2 meters is 8 cubic meters, which for the intent purposes of close enough, I like that, close enough, is 10, right? So a 2 meter hole is 8 times or 10 times as intensive as a 1 meter hole, and it goes up from there. Cubic, okay? So if you're gonna set out to build a hole, it's very expensive. It takes a lot of resources. Okay, now what does this have to do with utility and public transportation? Well, I'll use my chalkboard over here. And yeah, I used to have this guy in Toronto, the mayor, and he's a very well-intended person, and his name was Rob Ford. He was famous. He was became one of the more famous mayors in Canada, if not the world. He was actually a guest on the Jimmy Kimmel show because of his very large personality and some of the things that he did. But Mayor Rob Ford said, subways, 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 because he wanted subways. He was fixated on the idea of a subway, the object of a subway. Okay. Whereas I'm suggesting that you want to think about utility. Let's talk about the subways for a second, or transport. If you're here and you have to get here, this is you, this is somewhere else, and this thing here, let's call it 5 kilometers, 3 miles, 5 miles. Kilometers is just easier, okay, for anyone that lives at the land of miles. It's kind of easier to do math with metric for me, okay? So 5 kilometers. All right, so you have to get from here to there. So how can we do it? One thing you can do is you could walk, you can take your bike, you can take your private automobile, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about public transit. One version of transit is we have a bus. So we have a bus that will take us from here to there. So if you're going to have a bus, you got to have a road, you got to buy the bus, you have to build the road that people can travel this distance. And you go, okay, well, subways, subways, subways. What if there's buildings and obstacles and things in the way? All right, so let's subway. Like, you have this subway here, here, here. Oh, and this idea of holes and meters is one thing I suggest that you do if you happen to live somewhere. Everyone lives, most people live somewhere. And there's construction going on. If you live in a major center and there's construction going on, if you're driving down the road and you see construction underway, or you see road building, well, one thing I like to do is say, well, how many dump trucks is that? So I just kind of look at it, and in a hole in one of the city that I'm familiar with, Toronto, a hole might be 200 meters in one dimension, 100 meters in another dimension, and 20 meters in another dimension. So it's 200 times 100. What is 200 times 100? Is 20,000. And then 20 meters in the other direction is going to be 200,000, 400,000. So you get a number. It is 400,000. How many dump trucks is 400,000 cubic meters of dirt? The answer is it's about 40,000 dump trucks. Number like that. Not exactly, but it's a number similar to that. And you say, well, how long is that going to take? Well, how many dump trucks can you load in an hour? How many dump trucks can you load in a minute? How many dump trucks can you load in a week? How many dump trucks do you have? How long does it take to drive your dump truck from downtown urban center to some rural area where we're going to dump the material? These are all considerations. They're important considerations. Okay, so getting over here, subway. So if you're gonna, at an easy blush, if you're gonna build a subway, you have a station here, this dimension, the depth of it might be 20 meters. You're gonna have a lot of excavation. You're gonna have a lot of dump trucks. It's intensive. 20. The surface might be 50 meters by 50 meters. The depth is 20 meters. Quickly, you get into tens of thousands of dump trucks. Over here, same deal, because you have two stations. Now you have the tunnel. The tunnel. What's the tunnel? The tunnel is it's a tunnel. It's a hole. So the tunnel is going to have a diameter. The diameter of that tunnel might be 12 meters in diameter. It might be 15 meters in diameter. Because you remember, the subway trains they go both ways. So you need tracks side by side. Then you need service things and such. So you get, say, 15 meters in diameter. Okay, so if you have a circle that is 15 meters in diameter, what is the area of a circle? Well, now remember, I like to do good enough. The area of a circle is pi r squared. Pi r squared is another way of saying it's pi times the diameter squared divided by 4, because the diameter is twice the radius. And then because we're talking about good enough, the 4, let's do this over here, I'll show you. Pi r squared divided by 4, okay? Well, pi is like 3.14, and 4 is that, so close enough, so we divide it out. So I get to that the area of the circle for my intention is the square of the radius. Square of the diameter, sorry. Diameter is 15 meters. That's 225 square meters. This thing's 5,000 meters long. So we have 5,000 times 225. We'll call that 200. And 5,000 times 2 is 10,000 times 100 is a million. 1 million. A million cubic meters of material. That's not a million cubic meters of clay. It's not a million cubic meters of sand. It's not a million cubic meters. It's a million cubic meters of material. So you might be going through granite. You might be going through bedrock. You might be going through sand, clay, marsh, swamp, nastiness, etc. That's a difficult hole, but you end up with a million cubic meters. So if all you had to think about was, oh, how many dump trucks? Well, a million cubic meters is like, what's that? 100,000 dump trucks? That's a lot of dump trucks. Whoa. So the point of this is this whole affair is a lot of work. And not only, I mean, I've done an arm-waving explanation on a chalkboard in my forest to say that it's a lot of work, but we could skip that. We could go to a city I'm familiar with, is Toronto, Canada. In Toronto, Canada, right now, at the behest of our former mayor, Rob Ford, there's a thing called the Eglinton Crosstown. If you're interested in that, there's lots of YouTube videos about that and stuff in detail. But here's a fact. Is the Eglinton Crosstown construction began 15 years ago. Okay, 15 years ago. When is it going to be finished? Well, there's no promised date. It could be, it's certainly not going to be in the foreseeable future. Like, it's not going to be in 6 months, but it's going to, eventually it will happen. The reason why it will happen is, well, there's more than one reason, but there's two big reasons. One reason is because you actually have serious people working on this. If you want to be flippant, you could say, oh, they're all a bunch of idiots, they're incompetent. That is absolutely wrong. There are serious people working on the Eglinton Crosstown project. There are serious people that work on these projects, and serious people have a list. And the list is the deficiency list, the punch list, the list of things that are wrong, the list of things that have to be completed and corrected before this item can operate properly. And before this subway system can operate properly, 100% of the items on that list must be complete. So right now we're at 15 years, we're at billions of dollars, tens of billions of dollars. It's a vast amount of money and resource, and it's not finished. Okay. Now there's examples in the world where things have gone better. There's examples in the world where things have gone worse, but for the context of making your decisions about public policy and public transportation, this idea of a whole. Once you've committed, the second that you decided we're going to build this, and you've committed your forces, you've committed your resources, you've committed your everything to seeing this thing through to completion. And in the case of this Toronto example, that's 15 years. The Second Avenue line in New York City, long time. There's other, I like subways. They're great. I've been in the Paris Metro. I've been in the subways in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I've been in subways in San Francisco, Washington, Montreal, Toronto, all over, Denver. The subways, I've been lots of them. They're great if they exist. Now, if they don't exist, it's another story. I'm going to suggest something else. Come over here. This, same deal. Here's you. Here's where you want to get to. Destination. That's that. That's 5 kilometers. What's another way to do it? Well, rather than going like this, rather than committing to roads, the perils of public transit on roads are well known. The buses get stuck in traffic. They're often late, etc., etc. Let's do this. Let's build a tower here. And then we'll just run a moving cable between the towers. We'll have little cars here, like this, like this, like this, like this. And then these cars will traverse. Then we'll have to have some sort of a station of fare here, some sort of a station of fare here. That's it. Okay. Now, let's talk Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter, the guy from Silence of the Lambs. Clarice Starling, the character played by Jodie Foster, she goes to visit Hannibal Lecter to get some help about solving a crime. And Hannibal Lecter says to her, I think this is a great quote. Otherwise, I mean, this is 30 years ago. Hannibal Lecter says, we covet what we know, meaning we want the things we know. If I didn't know that a Ferrari existed, I wouldn't want a Ferrari. I don't want one, but you get the idea. If I didn't know that a Big Mac existed, I wouldn't want a Big Mac. If I did not know this existed, it would not occur to me to want it. Now, because I know that sometimes my wife has Haagen-Dazs ice cream in the freezer, I want that ice cream, and I will crawl on my hands and knees to get it. I want it. Okay. Now, why am I talking about this? Is because the people that make the decisions regarding public policy and public transit, they know what they know. Rob Ford, he knew subways, subways, subways. The person that's selling buses, they know bus, bus, bus. Okay? Now, throughout these videos, I've mentioned criteria, I've mentioned utility, I've mentioned all kinds of things like this. But what we want is the utility. We want to be able to move great numbers of people from here to here and back again, comfortably and quickly and safely. Okay, so here's a method of doing it. And this isn't a fairy tale. This exists in the world. This exists in urban centers. This exists at an extent in some places in Canada. And you might think, oh, it's like a ski lift. Yeah, it's like a ski lift. And then you're going to say, yeah, but ski lifts are slow and cold and etc., etc. Yeah, well, they're not all slow and they're not all cold. And I'm not suggesting that we're going to have a bad one. Okay. If you go to Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic, that city has what's called a teleferica. And that teleferica moves tens of thousands of people per hour safely and comfortably and quickly and smoothly and affordably. There you go. Okay. Now, I mentioned earlier that I get invited to talk about construction, getting things built, the practical aspects of executing someone's vision. Okay. And I have in my career executed someone's vision. I've executed my own vision. I've executed visions of other people, and sometimes on a scale that it's a scale, let me tell you. Okay. So question is resources. This thing over here, this we've determined, say in the example of the Eglinton Crosstown, or pick one, you get into billions of dollars with a B, actually tens of billions of dollars. The Eglinton Crosstown has taken 15 years. There's examples in North America that have taken longer than 15 years and are still incomplete. And that's it. It's a big dig, big hole. Now, proportionally, how much resource does this take? Well, round numbers, I'm going to tell you. This is it. Okay, I don't know if you can see this, but what I've written there is 1%. Round numbers, nominally, for the purpose of planning, for the purpose of pursuing an idea, for the purpose of making a choice, this, for 1% of the time, 1% of the resource, and 1% of the money, this delivers the same utility as this. Okay? The same utility. There's nothing more expensive than a hole, really. Well, there's a lot of smart people out there, and there's smart people that watch these videos occasionally. And if you're a smart person and you have comments, then do two things. One, subscribe. Two, comment and explain to me where I'm wrong. Now, there's a problem associated with this plan of the teleferica. And the problem is that it comes with a set of problems. Okay, there are problems. Problems have solutions. They have obstacles that can be overcome. Okay? There are things. There are challenges. The challenges that can be met. Okay, but the challenges that are going to be met in the vicinity of this 1% of the effort of this. There you go. And I can flesh this out in more detail, but the videos get too long and I get too boring, and people don't pay attention. People don't pay attention anyway. I mean, well, I can't believe that people watch this. Thank you very much. If you like the video, hit the like button. If you don't like the video, hit the like button. Subscribe. I like subscribers. This video is sponsored by absolutely no one except for whoever brought the cold today. Well, it's supposed to be cold. Thank you. This climate emergency, that's a real deal. This community that I'm in, my forest is part of a community here. Community that I'm in, there were people that were displaced by the climate emergency, that had tremendous damage done to their homes, that had the town had bridges lost and roads washed away by climate crisis. It's a real thing. Okay, my name's Bruce. Thank you very much. Hope you find it kind of fun. What the heck? Okay, have a nice day. Talk to you later. And remember, if you're helping somebody, you're allowed to feel good.